I was just thinking, like, he goes to like a restaurant and he like sees a girl and sees her stats. You're like, hey, nice stats.
No, no.
All right. The next show
Yay,
we're gonna
what are
be
you gonna
talking
talk
about
about?
is Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody.
Yes. So this, I think a lot of people, I don't know. I feel like people are getting. What was it? The other one with the cell phone in another world. I feel
Yeah,
like people are gonna draw a lot of comparisons to
yeah,
in regards, but because I see a lot of flack from that one, and rightly so, about somebody being overpowered.
yeah,
And they draw comparisons between that and One Punch Man because they're like One Punch Man did it right. The Cell Phone in Another World did it completely wrong as far as
mm-hmm.
someone who is completely overpowered and just has just too much. To me, I think this one holds a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think he knows he has the power, but he doesn't abuse the power. And he still has moments where he's unsure of himself because of how he gained that power.
Yeah.
So, did you watch this one?
Yes,
Okay. How many episodes you into it?
just one.
Okay. But like, so, but you see what I'm saying with that though, right? Because like he gained his power. So for those of you who don't know, so basically this is a story of a game programmer who he works really hard. Like, oh my god, this is like insane.
Yeah,
How many hours? Like they don't even leave the office for like days at a time.
yeah,
Um, and they sleep underneath their desks, kind of thing. I'm just
yeah.
like,
One thing I want to say,
holy
uh,
shnikes.
yeah, the one thing I want to say is basically like programmers, they have this thing called crunch time, and same thing in the gaming industry. I think I'm not sure if it's just this anime calling that, but I'm pretty sure the Japanese equivalent is called the Death March.
Yeah,
So that's basically what this show gets its name from.
yeah.
Is
So he they don't he's not sure yet because he goes to sleep underneath his desk and he wakes up in this world. We don't know how he got there. We don't know why he's there, and we don't know if it's real or not. He's unsure if it's real or not, but he's going with it because he's like, I'm tired. This is a nice change of pace. This looks great. I'm gonna go with it. So he's going with it. But so what ended up happening was because I mean the description that they had of this on AnyList was like nowhere. It was very vague in a lot of ways. So when he's making or he's helping to make the game and to fix the bugs in the game, one of the things was said is they made the game too hard. So they wanted to give people a little bit of a help when they first started. So what they did was they gave them three meteor showers essentially as spells. See,
okay.
so in the beginning of the game, well, no, and when he was in the real world, that's what they were trying to figure out. And he's like, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll give the starting player three meteor showers and a map reveal, or like maybe two map reveals. I think two map reveals. So that way they can kind of get the feel for things. They don't get completely bogged down, but it's an option. They don't have to use it if they don't want to use it. So what ends up happening is when he gets, for better lack of word, when he gets transported into this game, he is in the middle of a huge battle. Like lizard men, dragon, like everything around him is going crazy, and everyone's coming straight for him. He's like the focal point of this. So he panics. He uses his meteor shower, but then he doesn't think it works. So he uses all three of them. He uses all three of them, and then all three of them trigger. And this giant meteor storm, not even a shower now, it's more of a storm, just comes down and just slaughters everything in this valley. Just complete decimation. And you end up finding out later, not only did he kill all the lizard men there were dragons that he ended up killing. Because he's going through his at one point in this, he keeps getting new titles. And he was like, at one point he's like, man, I've been getting a lot of titles. Let me go look through them real quick. At one point he's going down and he sees one of them is Godslayer. And he sees where he gets it from and he's like, oh, I killed a bunch of dragons. I guess that happened during the meteor shower that I didn't even notice that that was the thing. Okay, but yeah, so all of this happens, and he goes from a level 1 character to a level like 350 some odd character, just like boom, right there, because of all the massive killing with all the creatures that happen. So he gains all this. All of a sudden, all of his stats are maxed out. He has so many skill points to use, and he has all of this like equipment. And he ended up getting like an endless bag, like a pouch to another dimension. So he put all of it into there. So literally, he can just keep pulling things out of this bag like nobody's business. So basically, he becomes overpowered because now he's just got everything, but he doesn't know how to use it. He's not, even though he is a programmer of a game, he's still kind of feeling things out. He's like, I know what this can do, but I don't know how it works here.
Yeah.
So that to me is a nice way of balancing it. You're not just giving a person a mass amount of power and all of a sudden they're masters with it right off the bat. No, you gave him a whole bunch of mass amount of power, and it's like giving a 10-year-old just like massive just boosts of everything. Yeah, they're gonna be like, well, this is cool, but they don't know what to do with it. And that's kind of the way he is. He's like, I'm here. I don't really have a goal in mind because for all I know, this is a dream. I'm just gonna wander around and just kind of see how this works. But it's cool because like he'll do some cool things, and then he'll do things that he's like he probably shouldn't have, but he didn't realize that he could do those things. And then apparently he actually now has the skill. See, before those were items that he used for the meteor shower. Yeah. He got 3 items he could use. Now he actually has that as a skill, as a power.
Yeah.
So he can call meteor showers down, and he tests that at one point and then goes, I am never using that ever again. I am turning that off. That's not something I want to do, because I don't know if it was because of it was now one of his powers, but I think comparably to the 3 that he called down before, the 1 that he calls down from his own power is even stronger than those 3 were.
Yeah, because it
decimates a freaking area. Because he's like, I'm gonna go all the way over here, and I'm gonna see how well this works. Because that way I'm out of the blast range. And he calls it down, and he had to run. Because even though he was out of the blast range, he was still technically in the blast range. So,
yeah, because it's like 3 entry-level basic meteor attacks compared to 1 master level 300, 300 attack. I was like, whoa.
Decimates a whole canyon essentially. There was nobody in there, or maybe that was when the dragons were. I don't know, but either way, it was just like, holy crap. After that initial after episode 1, episode 2, I feel like slows down dramatically. Like it hyped me up. I was just so totally stoked to see what would happen, and then we just immediately came crashing down. We're just like this is such a roller coaster, because now he goes to a town, and now it's like almost it went from action to slice of life. And I'm like, wait, what just happened here? You see him using some of his skills, because then he starts to be able to barter. He starts to be able to trick people. He's telling people he's a merchant even though he's not. But he has enough skill points where he can max out deceit and conversation stuff, that he can convince people that he is, so they don't question him. But then the last episode that I watched was kind of nice, because it had a little bit more action to it. I don't get me wrong, I enjoy the learning about the world and everything, but I think where it really shines is when we get into those action sequences with it. I feel like that is where it needs to be at, because it's a fantasy anime. It's got to have some good action in it. And it's interesting how things are progressing, because apparently you find out that there are demi-humans in the world. They're part some sort of animal and human, and people in this world kind of treat them as slaves. Because I guess during a long time ago, a war that happened, there was actually a war between the demi-humans and the humans. And the humans ended up winning. But because of all the death that took place because of it, there's a lot of animosity between humans and demi-humans. So now demi-humans are essentially treated as slaves. But of course, he's from our world, where we really don't look at it like that, and he kind of frowns upon that. And because of that, people look at him strange, because he actually treats them like people.
Yeah.
So But there's a nice relationship going on there because there was an incident that occurred. I'm not gonna get much into it later because I think you really like this one. I think comparatively to like Cell Phone in Another Universe, this one's way better. This one's leaps and bounds better. But like the interactions that he has with them later on with the demi-humans, I think are just it's great, and you can really see where they care about him because he shows them a lot of basically treats them like a human.
Yeah.
You know, he finds that they're hurt or dirty, and he gives them like a stack of like clean cloth and something to take care of their wounds. He doesn't do anything with them, but he's like, here, you can have this. And they look at him like, don't waste this on us. And he's like, no, because eventually he's like, I order you to take this and to clothe yourself and clean yourself up. And then they do it. But, it's like he had to go that far because they're so used to being treated like slaves that he had to take it that far. And then it's fun just to see he has like knowledge that he's been using. For the most part, he has a lot of like physical and better attributes that he can use. But for the most part, he uses his way of like, to everyone else, it's the real world. To him, it's a game. And he can like open up a menu in front of him and be able to see like a map of the area, or he can actually look at people and see their stats. So he knows like, okay, you're level this. When he gets into a situation with the demi-humans, they're in like essentially a dungeon, and he looks at them and he's like, okay, like in the picture, the two little girls that are up top.
Uh-huh.
And then I think is it the blonde that's there as well, or is also a demi-human?
Uh-huh.
The blonde one he looks at and goes, okay, you actually have fighting skill. I see that. So I'm going to give you a weapon. But I'm not going to give a weapon to these two because I know they don't have fighting skill. They can't do anything with it.
Uh-huh.
So there's no point, So he's very much like he's using his knowledge in that regards to better assess the situation, depending upon what he's in. So
I was just thinking, like, he goes to like a restaurant and he like sees a girl and sees her stats. You're like, hey, nice stats.
No. So he has had instances where he's like, because apparently in this world, I think what they said is like, because he had to go and get registered for the town, and when he did, they saw his age was 15, and that's essentially considered an adult in that town.
Okay.
So he gets very confused.
Oh.
Yeah, because when he goes to this other world, even though he was an adult in the other world, he becomes younger.
Yeah. Okay.
Go figure. Because eventually, at first, I was like, oh, so he's going to go into this other world as an adult. That's something different, because usually it's always like kids that are going into it.
Yeah.
But at least even though he is younger in appearance, he's still the same age mentally.
He did mention that.
Yeah.
I think he saw his reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, he saw his reflection. He's like, why am I this young?
Yeah.
I look like I did back in high school. Why am I? No. But he still retains all of his personality as an adult.
Yeah.
So, which I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It didn't just became like a kid and like all of a sudden he's gonna have like kid tendencies kind of thing. It's like no.
Yeah, the last show that I remember doing that was like Erased, because even though he would travel back in time and he's like a 29-year-old, whenever he transferred back to his child age, he still kept his like 28. He kept his current mind. So. Yeah. That's an interesting thing that I've started noticing in shows.
I appreciate that, because I'm kind of getting a little bit this underage boyish personality, because like at one point in the second episode he ends up getting approached by a young girl with big boobs who like goes and grabs his arm and like is pressing up against him because she's trying to convince him to come to her mother's inn. And he's like, that's really soft. He makes note of that. He's like, that's really soft. And had I been younger, probably would have tried to go for something with that. But I'm just going to let it slide. And I'm just going to kind of go along with it anyways. So he's still retaining his like, okay, this is wrong. This is not going to happen. There's nothing to this. But I'm going to go along with it just to see how this pans out. But he doesn't have the reaction that you would like, if he was a 15-year-old in this world or whatever, got someone big boobs coming in, he'd be like, oh yeah, no. Okay. So even though I see this becoming a harem anime, I don't think that it's going to. I don't think it's going to progress down the really like overly raunchy side or like overly like, because he's gonna look at these situations and be like, yeah, no, not gonna happen. It's still nice because he'll know that. He'll be like, it's kind of like in Garo with
Yeah.
the dude where he makes note of big boobs. He's like, oh, thank you, because he'll make note of that. But that's it. That's as
Yeah.
far as we go. He's like, okay. And I think that's kind of the same realm of what we're getting here. He's like, she looks nice, it's really nice, but I have things to do. It's kind of like in those
Okay.
situations. So
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, I watched this one also. You explained a lot of questions that I had. Because I didn't know where the meteors came from. And I was like, oh, they did mention that they were giving something to the beginner players. And I was like, okay. And then, what was it?
he just got really lucky in the usage of them.
Yeah. And then, I didn't know where the meteors came from. And then I was like, these meteors came out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden he's at level 300. So I'm like, I don't understand. But yeah. Now I get it. Yeah, I may continue this one. I'm not sure. It's like not really my biggest genre. I have to see more to see if the other characters like hook me. Because it's a harem, I'm not really sure. Unless they are like really, really interested, like Gate. Something like Gate, I'm like 100% on board. Something like Konosuba, I'm like 100% on board. This is one of my weakest genres, so I'll check out a couple more episodes to see if it hooks me. But right now I'm on the fence.
I don't know. The other characters are, so far you've met, well, that one girl he ends up saving, who got blasted away when she was casting a spell, because that was in the end of the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's a continuing character. She's not one that just one and done. She's actually a continuing character, because I think she's actually in the picture, the blonde that's in the very forefront of the picture.
Okay.
That's her.
Cool.
She does show up again, so as far as I know, she's a continuing character. She's decently okay. She's very much an open book, open-faced person, because when she introduces herself later on, she makes note of that. She pretty much spills her guts right then and there in front of him. He makes the introduction, going, "Hey, I'm Sato," and she's like, "Oh, I'm the yada 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 of the yada yada family, and I do magic, and I've just recently graduated out of high school, and I'm currently single." And at the very end, he's just like, in his mind, he's going, "I really didn't need to know that last part, but okay, that's fine. We'll go with that." So she's kind of an interesting character, and the demi-humans that he's with too, I think will be like, the little girls are just adorable. I think one of them's a dog, and one of them's part dog, and one of them's, I know the older one's part lizard. And then I forget what the other little girl is, but they're adorable in their own way. And he utilizes them very well too, because when they're in that dungeon situation, he tells the one that's a dog, he's like, "If you smell blood, you let me know. That way I can know ahead of time, and I know what to expect." So I mean, he's using his brains in that regards. I'm like, that's awesome. Because immediately she's like, "I smell blood up ahead," and he's like, "Oh, well, now I know there's danger." So, but yeah, I honestly, I don't think they're going to go too far, even though he has himself surrounded by women. I don't think they're going to go too far down the harem, like overly in love story where everyone's just madly, I think they're going to care for him. Obviously, the one girl that he saved cares for him just because he saved her life.
Yeah.
And I think kind of with the same with the slaves, the demi-humans, because he's pretty much saving their lives, and he's kind of taking over and treating them actually like people. So I think it's going to be a series of circumstances where it's not going to be like he's just doing something that would probably have come naturally anyways, and just because he has the ability to do so, but they're going to at least care for him because of it, kind of thing.
Okay.
So
cool. All right. I will definitely give that a couple more episodes. This show is made by Trigger, and these are the people who did Fooly Cooly. These are the people who did Gurren Lagann. That style of...
They have great characters. I feel like there's a lot more backstory going on that they're not telling us. I want to know more about the mages. I want to know more about the demon